let's go to this caller here. We have, is it Ahmad calling us from Ohio? Ahmad, what's up?
Yes, sir.
What's up?
What's up? How you doing, sir?
Doing good, doing good.
I have a question, and I am searching the truth to get to a good definition about what a designer is. How we can call there is a designer for this thing, and how we can say there is no designer for that. What is the rule? And this is very important in the discussion between the atheist and the believer like me. I'm a Muslim.
Yes.
And I just want to note something before I go forward than that, because the previous caller, I heard you saying that even the Muslims said that Islam is not a religion. No, the Quran stated it is a religion.
Yeah.
Clear and obvious.
I have heard people, and let me be clear, Ahmad. When I say there are Muslims that say that, I am of course not speaking of all Muslims, and there are a lot of Christians that say, yeah, Christianity is a religion. There's some that say that there aren't. But there is a diversity of opinion within beliefs, for sure. So if that's how you define it, and that's you, I mean, I would agree with you, right? Islam is a religion. I would think most people would agree with that. So I have no qualms with you there. And I would also say that I want to say this. Thank you for asking this question about a designer, because this is really, really critical. This is a really, really important question. How do we know the difference between something being designed and something not being designed, right? So the point that I always go to when we have this conversation is when we're talking about something. Yeah, go ahead.
If you allow me for 1 second, and I am here trying to tell you something about what I believe in and what is about Islam.
Okay.
Islam have a reference.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of the opinion of the Muslim with all their difference in opinion between one Muslim and another. Islam have a reference. It has a textbook, which is the Quran. It's only one book, and we have copies since 1400 years ago. It did not change. So what's good in it is good is Islam. What's bad in it in Islam, no matter what, we got to be very clear about that. So
I see your point, Ahmad, but I would also say there are non-Quranist Muslims. So, there are even people who would call them, and maybe you wouldn't call them Muslims, right? But that's a difference of opinion within the Muslim community. I'm pointing out as a secular person that there are people who call themselves Muslims who don't follow the Quran, in that same way. So just clarifying that there.
Follow, but they don't have to follow. But if I cannot say Christianity is anything different than what's in the Bible.
I agree with you there. Actually,
all the Bible.
To me, it is incoherent to call yourself a Christian and have nothing to do with the Bible. I agree with you there. So we would find some agreement. But
and for me as a Muslim, the same way. I take it all good and bad since I believe in it.
Yeah.
So let's go to the designer question, because I am trying to reach to a definition for that.
Yes, let's talk about this. Okay, so when we're talking about design, we are usually contrasting it in nature. Otherwise, in what we find in natural circumstances to happen versus what happens when, and historically it's always been, human beings or other sentient beings who are capable of making things like beavers making dams, things like that, organisms creating is how we look at that versus what happens in nature. Okay, we look at nature and we contrast that. We look at the trees and the grounds and the sky, and we contrast that with the houses and cities and cars that we build, and it's through that contrast that we in general find that something is designed. Okay, the problem with creationists talking about everything being designed is that there's nothing you can contrast it to. If you say that everything is designed, then how do you know what's not designed? Because if literally everything in nature is designed, then what isn't it designed? There's some young earth creationists that say, well, it's the things that are a part of sin, that sin nature, like disease and things like that, are not designed. But that just raises even more questions, because I don't know what causes what, there seems to be naturally occurring organisms that cause disease. And there seems to be things we can replicate in a lab. And there are even some people that say we can design the virus that's going on right now, let alone, other kinds of things. So this definition of design and designer gets really, really tricky. really, really fast. But I always go out to this point that if you're saying that everything is designed, then you have nothing to contrast that with. You have no coherent way of pointing out what's designed and what's not designed. If you're saying that everything is designed, you have no point of reference there. So I can't accept that everything is designed without knowing a point of reference outside of that. I don't know if your reasoning differs from me, Gayle. Maybe you have some other insight, but that's how I typically think of these questions.
I think that's reasonable. Ahmad, what do you think about that definition?
Okay. Can I give you my idea about how I can reach to, and I cannot claim that what I'm going to say is a final definition to how I can differentiate between something is designed and something is not.
Okay.
But if we took a pile of iron steel, and we put it in a room, and after a year or two, and we come in and it's rusted, I cannot call this a design because this is happened by oxidation, which we can say it happened automatically by the power of nature of things like this. But if I come after a day or two and I found this metal is shaped in a different thing that there is no explanation for it, so I can call this a design.
Right, because we don't have a known. Sorry to interrupt you, Ahmad, but the reason why I would say that I would call it design is because there is no known natural force that occurs that can make that happen. There's no natural circumstances by which that product would be an output of based on what we know about the natural world. So that's how I would come to that conclusion, right? So there is a difference there.
Yes, I agree with you because when the iron got rusted, I know this is no design here, and when it was made in a different tools and stuff, I know there is a designer for that. It has to be because this cannot be by the law by all the physical law that we know.
Yes,
we cannot. There has to be some power interfered and to do that, right?
We could come to a reasonable conclusion that yes, that some sort of intervention was happening that is beyond natural, what we tend to find in nature. Yes, but if I'll point this out right here. If you're going down the route that human beings or other living beings aren't a result of nature, I disagree with you there. I would totally disagree with you there. But I'm not sure if that's the route you're going down.
That's. Yeah, no. I am really trying to have because when we agree to a definition, when we agree to a rule, we can search this issue because this is the main issue that separates a believer from an atheist. You know, if you believe now, if I convince you to that now, that there is a design for the trees, for the plants, for everything, then you will be a believer. And if you convince me otherwise, I will be an atheist. If I am truthfully or in true looking for the truth, not just arguing for the sake of a religion or anything. So, but when I see, hello.
Yeah, no, I'm contemplating if I agree with that. I mean, I think that would convince me that act of creation happened, but not necessarily a God. I mean, you could still point to other things. You could still say it's aliens. You could still say it's forces beyond what we would traditionally call a God. I don't know if I'd immediately become a religious person if that's the case.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you on that, because I don't believe, I'm not a Muslim because I know there is a creation. I am a Muslim for other reasons behind that. But this is the first step in believing. This is the first step in believing.
It's a step.
It's the first step in believing, yes. It's a step. Yeah, I agree with you. But I look for things, if we have a soil and a water and an organic material shaped in a different form, which we call it seed. And we plant it, and it come a plant that give us sweet and bitter, red and orange and the green fruit or different vegetables. Wouldn't you see a design in that?
Because of a horticulture, like there's a bunch of plants in one space. I mean,
like
Maybe.
all what we call it all the resources that enter this process are the same. It's a soil and water, and the composition of the seed chemically is very similar to each other. And then, but we get a totally variation of different things. Won't you see a design on that? I don't want you to believe from this that there is a creator, but won't you see a design? There is something here we can look at it and we believe there is a creation or there is a power behind that.
I might need to clarify. Are you saying of like a one physical space where there's different plants, or are you just talking about plants that are different all over the world? Because if you're talking about plants are just different all over the world, I would just say that's evolution. I wouldn't say that that's a creator.
No, and on the same soil, in the same field, I can blend.
Oh, okay. So different plants in the same field. Like if I literally found a field with different plants. Okay. I mean,
yes.
There was probably a farmer involved, I would say. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable conclusion. But not necessarily God, but somebody planting things, probably. Sure.
No, I'm talking about this ecosystem that from the same soil, from the same water, and from the same sources, we get different fruits and different outcomes.
Oh, okay. All right. I see what you're saying now. No, because that's what nature. I mean, that's what happens in nature. I would say that just because that's just a brute fact of how plants work, is that they get stuff from soil. I don't know why why a creator has to be the reason for that.
No, I'm talking about a design. There is a design here.
Why?
The grape give us a sweet grape, and the green pepper come green pepper, and it's all the same resources: the water and the soil.
Okay, yeah. So things come from water and soil. I agree, but like, why does that necessitate that there has to be a creator? Why is that not just the results of like chemical reactions?
Well, if we talk about chemical reaction, then this will. I'm not expertise in the evolution or to talk, but I know from my work and my study that any organic material, and from our life, any organic material, if it sits for a long time, it decays. It did not go. It did not develop. It decay.
So living things decay.
All the biosystem we live.
Yes.
Any biosystem, any organic material stayed in for a very long time, for 1,000 years or for a million of years. It does not come to be something else. It decays to the carbon and to the hydrogen, to the CHO.
So, but yes, things. Yes, that it becomes part of the environment after living beings die and go back to the ecosystem. But like that's what people who talk about evolution and who talk about the origins of life on Earth, they know that we didn't come from already living things. We would have to come from non-living things arranged in such a way that it would become what we would recognize as living. Where that line is exactly drawn and how exactly that process happened is still quite a mystery. There's still a lot of things that we don't know. There's a lot of people who are confident about certain ideas, but I'm not going to be the one up here saying that I know exactly how life on Earth originated. But the observation that things decay and that things all come from soil, that's not convincing me of a creator. That's not nearly enough.
Okay, that's fair. But I'm still searching. I know I didn't have a good definition about what a designer is,
that's
and
okay.
I am trying to come up with a definition, because the definition will put us on the road of a serious understanding of what a design and what is not design.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree. It's important.
That's the main thing. I don't wanna take more time from you, and I appreciate you took my call, and you did a very good conversation with me. I really appreciate your attitude. I couldn't make this conversation with Matt Delhunty. You know, he
Maybe not.
he shot me. Yes, yeah, on the atheist experience, because he mentioned a verse in the Quran, and I tried to explain it to him. And although my explanation will come up with his explanation, but he assumed like I was going to say something different, and he said, "Well, all the Muslims do that." So I really appreciate your attitude, and I want to add one thing, that I'm a Muslim. I believe in Islam, and why I am interested in your movement. And in you people, and I have a lot of respect for you as a group and all the atheists, because the humane ideas of tolerance that it's come with your being an atheist. I might agree with you. I disagree with you for you being atheist, but all the social ideas that you guys carry, I agree with, and I think it is. And the scientific way of thinking, even if we disagree with it, but it is bring something good, and I wish everybody think this way, even if I disagree with them, even if he believe in something different than what I believe. So thank you.
Okay, well, that's very nice of you to say, Ahmad. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for saying all that. That's very nice. That's not something that we typically get on shows like this, and obviously Matt and I are very different in how we talk to people. And Gayle is also very different from men, and that's just how it is sometimes. But as far as origins of life, probably didn't come from the soil. What most scientists say about the origins of life, it probably came from the ocean, is what is most popularly theorized. So I would research looking into what people have to say about that, how origins of life occurred on Earth. It's very fascinating, and it's definitely not something I'm an expert on. So I could tell you what some people have said, but only what I've read about. It's not my field of study. But hey, thanks for calling in. That's very nice. What a nice call, right, Gayle?
Right. Ahmad, good on you. Good on you. Keep thinking, keep reading, keep researching. You are doing the thing that very few religious people will do, which is questioning and trying to find answers. And I get the impression that you are trying to do it in as honest manner as possible. And I do appreciate that. Keep thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.